Hi kids, good morning or good day. Today what we're going to do is we are going to kind of follow the same format that we would follow if we were in school. And I'm going to go over the agenda, and then I'm going to give you kind of a pre-teaching lesson for topic 12.5, which will be coming up tomorrow. Okay, so you can see on my screen here that I have Schoology open, and I want to show you what our agenda is for today. Okay, today is Wednesday, the 15th. Okay, and the first thing I want you to do is pre-watch the video link provided below for today's agenda and a pre-teach lesson for topic 12.5. If you're watching this, you've already clicked in and you're watching this, but I'm just telling you, that's the first thing. Okay, second thing we want you to do is be sure to check you have completed all your work for this week and you've done any missing assignments, okay? So make sure you guys are doing a really good job of this, and I'd like to see you continue to do a good job with it. Then number 3, I would like you to complete the number 12, topic 12.5 Daily Common Core Review. If you look down at the bottom of your screen, there's a PDF if you want to open that so you have it. If not, you can just do it in quizzes. And then number 4, it gets a little bit tricky, okay? Once you're done with the Daily Common Core, I'd like you to download the Microsoft OneDrive app from self-service if you've not done this already, and log into it using the following sign-in information, okay? So when you download the Microsoft OneDrive, you're going to sign in using 26 underscore last name, first name in lowercase at generalmcclain.org, okay? Then it will ask you for a password, and your password is your 8-digit student ID number, okay? And then you can open up and you can get into Microsoft OneDrive. The reason I'm having you get into Microsoft OneDrive is I want you to be able to use Microsoft Teams in case we start doing online conferencing and stuff like that, okay? So if you can do that, that's good. And then number 5 says if you cannot get signed into the app, please send me a message on Schoology so I at least know you weren't able to do it, okay? You might want to download this app when everybody else in the house is off the internet, so it comes in, it downloads a little faster, and probably not in the middle of the day when all the kids are online also. So kind of look for a time when somebody might not be home, okay? And then number 6, of course, feel free to do ST Math if you want to do some enrichment, okay? So anyways, I'm going to skip on up here, and I'm going to go back to my little PowerPoint presentation on finding the area of various polygons. Now, in topic 12.4, you learned how to find the area of different polygons such as trapezoid and parallelogram and stuff like that. Well, this one is going to continue to build on that, and I just want to remind you a couple important things to remember. Number 1, you want to learn to decompose or compose shapes as needed. So being able to compose or decompose shapes is very, very important, and it allows you to figure out the area of various shapes. Second thing you want to do is make sure that you double check your measurements and adjust as needed when you compose and decompose a shape, okay? Because that can, becomes very, very important, all right? Next thing, use your formulas to the best of your ability, okay? Now, if you decompose something, you're probably going to have to use a certain type of formula or something, okay? Or even if you compose it. So make sure you recall the basic formulas for finding the area of a rectangle, finding the area of a triangle, and we even learned about, in the last lesson, finding the area of a trapezoid, okay? So let's look at a few example problems, and tomorrow you'll get another video with greater detail on what I'm about to show you. So if you don't quite understand it with today's video, that's okay. Just kind of let it digest in. And if you want, I would suggest even getting out a piece of paper, pausing the video, and trying to figure out these answers on your own, okay? All right, now, the first thing that we have in front of us is they are asking us, what is the area of this shape? What shape is that? Okay? Well, if you counted the sides, you see that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides, so that is a hexagon, okay? Now, here's the thing. You might be looking at that and thinking, well, how can I figure out the area of this if I'm not sure about, whether or not this line is perpendicular to this line here and that sort of thing? Well, we're going to preface this by saying all the sides have the same length. So from here to here is 8 centimeters. There to there is 8 centimeters, there to there is 8 centimeters, and so forth, all the way around, okay? Now, why don't you, if you want, you can pause the video and see if you can figure out the answer to that. Well, how did you do, okay? Now, here's the answer. Now, even if you didn't pause the video, I'm going to show you the answer, and it's okay to look at the answer, okay? Because this is where we want to go. We know the area of this shape is 144 square centimeters. Now, in order to do that, there's kind of like, I see it this way, there's like 3 ways you could do this. There's a complicated way, which kind of is the easy way to start out with when you're learning to do this. But then as you get better at it, you find out that there's a less difficult way, and then there's a really simpler way. But this has to do with your ability to compose and decompose what's in front of you, okay? Now, the first way that I like to tell kids is to simply look at it in terms of decomposed shapes, okay? Decompose it as much as you want, all right? So in other words, you could say, oh yeah, okay, I see that we have a triangle up here, okay? We have that triangle there. We have a triangle down here. We have a little triangle right here, and we have a little triangle right here. Okay, so right off the bat, you can decompose this into 4 triangles, and each of those 4 triangles has a base of 4 and a height of 6. Okay, we know that it has 6 because if you look at the overall height, it's 12, and this is halfway, which means that its height is 6 centimeters, okay? So in other words, we have 4 small triangles, and then we have 1 big rectangle, okay? So all we have to do is figure out the area of 1 triangle, multiply it by 4, figure out the area of the rectangle, and then combine those areas all together, okay? So to help you out, remember the formula for finding the area of a triangle, okay, is 1/2 the base times the height. Or, as some kids have found themselves saying, base times height divided by 2. Either way, it will give you the same area, okay? So I'm going to try and show you how this works. I'm going to try using this little pad I have. We know how technology works sometimes. But what I want to do, okay, I'm going to come up here, okay? And so using this formula, I'm going to multiply the base times the height, which is going to be 24, okay? Well, then what we're going to do is we're going to divide 24 by 2, and we're going to get 12, all right? So each one of these little triangles has an area of 12 square centimeters. So we have 12 here, we have 12 here, we have 12 there, and we have 12 there. Okay, so now we have to figure out the area of this rectangle. Well, the rectangle measures 8 across the top, and it measures a total of 12 down its side. Okay, so then we can multiply 12 times 8, which is 96. Okay, so now we have an area of 96 for the rectangle. Okay, so what we can do is we can add all of these up. Well, in this case, we take this 12, and there's 4 of them, so we're going to do 12 times 4, and that will give you 48, you're right, okay? And then we take this 48, because that's the sum of all the areas. We're going to take that 48, and we are going to add it to 96. Okay, and if we do that, we'll just bring up the calculator right here to confirm it. Okay, we're going to take that 48 and we're going to add it to 96, and we get 144, which is our answer. Okay, so that's kind of neat. That's one way of doing it. Okay, and let me get rid of all of that stuff, and I'm going to show you another way of doing this. All right, so let's get rid of all those calculations, get that cleaned up. All right, and just kind of clean up our work area here. We'll just kind of move all this stuff back down into here. Okay, get it all out of here. All right, so now you've got all of that. Okay, and we saw how you could do it if you divided it up into 4 little triangles. Okay, but let's say some of you are pretty savvy and you say, well, you know what, I can divide that up into 2 bigger triangles. Okay, I can make this a triangle and I can make this into a triangle. And what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, well, I have 2 triangles now that have a base of 12 and a height of 4. And that's what I mean. So if you look at it this way, okay, this base would be 12 and the height would be 4. Okay, so that's why we say it has a base of 12 and a height of 4. Okay, we just kind of flip it around. So we do the same thing that we did before. All right, we take our formula for finding the area of a triangle, and we're going to take 12 times 4, which equals 12 times 4 is 48. And then, of course, we then have to divide 48 by 2, which is 24. Now, if you're thinking back at the last example, you're like, yeah, that makes sense because this was 2 smaller triangles, okay? So now we have each one of these triangles has an area of, each one of those triangles has an area of 24 square centimeters. So we have 24 here, and then we would have 24 there. And we already know that the area of the rectangle is 96, okay? So now we can say, okay, well, we're going to take the 96, which is the inside rectangle, and the 24 and the 24, and we're going to add those all up. So, of course, 24 times 2 gives us that 48 that we know we need. And then we have our 96, and we add that to 48. 96 plus 48, and we saw in the calculator earlier, is 144 square centimeters, okay? And so that would be as if you decomposed it into just 2 basic shapes, the triangles and the rectangle, all right? Now, some of you are sitting there thinking, but Mr. Triola, I see something totally different, okay? Now, this is going to be for people who, they're pretty good at decomposing things, all right? All right, so what we're going to see here is this. They're going to say, okay, Mr. Triola, this is what I see. I see the rectangle right here, okay? But then what I see is this rectangle right here can be broken up and dissected into these parts right here. So in other words, some of you are going to take this triangle right here, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to take that and you're going to say, I can plug that in right here. Not a very good triangle. And then you're going to say, well, and I can take this triangle right here, remove it from there, and plug it in there. And so now my shape looks like this. I've gotten rid of those triangles. Okay? I got rid of those triangles right there. They don't exist anymore. So I'm going to mark those down as gone. And what I have is I've created a new shape, which is basically this. Okay? Now, one of the things that you have to remember, though, is that when you're doing this, you've now taken this 8 and the height of the triangle, this distance right here, is now been added to that over there. So now you have a distance of 12 along the bottom, because what you've done is you've rebuilt or composed a rectangle added to this rectangle. And we know that the distance from here to here is 4, because that's what our original triangle height was, okay? So now all you have to do is multiply 12 times 12. And when we do that, we'll bring it up on the calculator, even though we should know that. 12 times 12 is, whoops, not that. 12 times 12 is 144. Okay, so those are the 3 ways in which you could solve the area for that original hexagon. Okay, now another type of problem that I want to show you is this next type of problem. Okay, and it's the same type of area problem, but this time it's kind of like, well, what is the area of this shape? It looks like a swimming pool maybe. Okay, and what you can see is the answer is 448 inches. Okay, now when you look at this, you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, this dimension right here must be 4 inches. From here to here must be 30. Here to here is 14. And this little bump out here is 7 inches, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to simply decompose this into 2 basic rectangles, okay? This rectangle right here will be 30 times 14. So you're going to simply take your 30 and multiply it, ooh, that's way down there, by 14. That's not very good. So if we take the calculator and we bump it in there, we're going to go 14 times 30, which equals 420. So this inside right here, okay, this inside is going to be equal to the 420 square inches. Okay, so that's the area of this in here, okay, and this in here. Now we just have to figure out the area of this rectangle here. Well, of course, then that is 7 times 4, which is 28, okay? And so now we know that this is 28, and this big rectangle out here is 420. So if we add 420 to 28, we see that we have 8, we have 4, and we have 4. And so that gives us our 448 square inches for the area. And that's how they came up with that answer, okay? There really isn't, I mean, if you look at this shape right here, there really isn't any other way to divide it up other than to say, okay, I've got a small rectangle right here. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. I've got a small rectangle right here, and I've got a big one right here. And that's the best way to decompose it. And then you're just multiplying length times width and adding them up for the 2 sections. All right? So anyways, that's it, kids. Hopefully you got a little bit out of this lesson. This was a pre-teaching. Tomorrow you'll watch a video on this and take notes in greater detail with a few more difficult problems to do. Okay? Remember, if you have any questions or you want individual tutoring and help with this stuff, you can always send me a message on Schoology, and we can arrange to do a conference through Schoology or hopefully through Microsoft Teams real soon, okay? All right, kids, have a good day.